Hey, this is Ryan from Rocket SaaS, and you're listening to the SaaS Marketing Weekly podcast, the show that gives you actionable marketing strategies and campaign ideas to rocket your SaaS business. And if you want even more SaaS marketing ideas, go to saasmarketingweekly.com to join my free newsletter.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of SaaS Marketing Weekly with me, your host, Ryan, the founder of Rocket SaaS. And today we're going to be talking about the top of the funnel. Over the next 3 episodes, I'm going to talk about top of funnel today, next week, middle of funnel, and the week after that, the bottom of the funnel. Because the funnel is so important to every SaaS business, not even SaaS businesses, just every single business. It is the bedrock, the cornerstone of all of your growth. So it's critical that you get this right. And I meet so many SaaS businesses that are not getting 1, 2, or even all 3 of them right. So in this mini series of podcasts, I'm going to talk to you about each layer of the funnel. Today, we're going to talk about the top of the funnel. What is it? Why is it important? What types of content you need to create for it? Examples of other leading SaaS brands that create fantastic top of funnel content, how to measure success, and also some common mistakes that I want you to avoid when creating top of the funnel content. And I'll also say that the top of the funnel is usually the most common mistake that I see SaaS companies making in terms of they're just not creating enough top of funnel content. A lot of them focus very heavily on the bottom of the funnel, put a little bit of effort into the middle of the funnel, and even nothing or very little effort into the top of the funnel. And then they get surprised why they're not getting any leads flowing into the pipeline. So let's start. What is the top of the funnel? This is the content that's going to attract people to your brand that have never ever heard of you before. The purpose of this content is to generate awareness of your brand, build trust, and also position you as an expert in the industry. The most important thing to think about top of the funnel, you should always have this in your mind, is that you are not trying to convert with this content. You are not trying to get demos. You're not trying to get free trials. You're not trying to get sales calls. You're trying to get as many people as possible in your ideal customer profile to be aware of you, to engage with your content, to come onto your website, to watch some of your videos, read some of your posts. And if you think, what's the most likely way that I'm able to get the maximum amount of engagement? It's not creating sales content. Not many people engage with sales content. They only engage with sales content when they're at the bottom of the funnel and they're ready to buy. Whereas you get lots and lots and lots of people engaging with top of the funnel content that's helpful, educational, maybe even entertaining, because they don't feel like they're being sold to. They feel like they're learning. And that's how you get lots of engagement. So throughout this mini series, I'm going to teach you how to move people from the top to the middle to the bottom of the funnel. But today is really all about what is it? How do we create it? One of the challenges that a lot of businesses have with top of the funnel content, or challenges that marketers have, is getting buy-in from the boss. I've heard a lot of CEOs that sort of don't really understand marketing say, why are we spending so much money creating these educational, entertaining, industry news blogs that's not going to get any conversions? Why are we pumping ad budget into that? I'm not getting the immediate ROI. So yeah, sometimes you do get kickback. And if you've got that as a boss, then, well, good luck to you. Just give them this podcast episode to help convince them that that's the way to do it. And I would also show them examples of other leading top brands, either your biggest competitors in the space or just huge, well-known SaaS brands. I'm going to give you some examples later on in this pod, because there's no big SaaS brand that's really grown without top of the funnel content. Every fast-growing SaaS business has nailed their funnel from top, middle, and bottom. Unfortunately, there's no shortcuts. You can't just create bottom of the funnel content and just get a load of leads. It may work for a little bit, but eventually you'll run out of steam. You have to build out top of the funnel content to get people flowing through the funnel. So other key characteristics of top of funnel content is helping your ideal customer profile solve their problems. So you can create blogs, videos, infographics, white papers, podcasts like this one, webinars, LinkedIn carousels, masterclasses, workshops, events. There's lots of different mediums, and the way that you're going to get the biggest amount of engagement is understanding what your ideal customer profile has got on their mind that's really keeping them up at night, that's really concerning them, a problem that they've got in the industry. And you create content that teaches them how to solve that problem. And you're not allowed to just say, buy our software. The key is to help them, educate them on how they can solve their problem without you at this stage. Now, you can have a call to action to the bottom of the funnel at the end of your top of funnel content. So you can give people some advice. Let's say it's in a blog. Then at the bottom of the blog, you have a banner that talks about your platform and how it also helps solve that problem. Click here to do a free trial. So you can be subtly bottom of the funnel, but the vast majority of the content should be educational, helpful, or entertaining advice. So I'll give you some examples of great top of the funnel content from leading SaaS brands. I think the kings were HubSpot. Everybody knows who HubSpot are. They're one of the biggest SaaS brands in the world, and they got there through amazing top of funnel content. They've created so many blogs, guides, videos, calculators, templates, pretty much anything. So if you've ever got a question about sales or marketing, and if you Google it, you'll often see HubSpot appear at the top of the search results. So that's another thing that I've not even mentioned yet, is creating great top of funnel content is amazing for SEO. Middle and bottom of the funnel content rarely ranks for SEO. It's all about the top of the funnel content. So that's like an added benefit of creating top of funnel, is that you get SEO from it. But from mainly what I'm talking about today, which is more of a philosophical approach to the funnel, is let's take that HubSpot example. When you're researching about sales, marketing, like starting a business or growing a business, if you just see HubSpot articles and videos and blogs and guides all over your Google searches, your YouTube channel, your LinkedIn feed, your Twitter feed, your Facebook feed, they're just everywhere, and you start reading their content and consuming it, you start to like that company. You start to know them, like them, trust them. Something that I talk about all the time on this podcast. If people know you, like you, trust you, they're on their way to buying from you. So many people have bought from HubSpot because they've engaged with their top of the funnel content and thought, these guys know what they're talking about. I like their content. It's helped me solve some problems. It's taught me something. I've been entertained by it. Now I'm ready to perhaps check these guys out. I should probably book a demo. And that's their funnel. They've been incredible at doing that. So many businesses have tried to copy them. Another example, one of my favorite SaaS brands is Slack. So Slack really identified that they can have an incredible growth journey as soon as remote working started kicking off. I mean, Slack's amazing for any business, even if you're all in the office together. But Slack really goes into another dimension when companies are remote and they can't just lean over the desk and talk to each other. And Slack identified that having a business where everybody's remote comes with a lot of challenges, a lot of problems. So if they've identified their ideal customer profile as remote work companies, they decided to create a lot of top of the funnel content teaching people about the challenges of remote work, like how you should communicate with one another when you're working remotely. How often should you have meetings? How do you keep a strong company culture when you're all remote? How do you keep employees engaged and happy when they're remote? So they created all of that kind of top of the funnel content, gets lots of engagement from exactly their target audience, and then they start checking out Slack, booking demos, doing free trials. Asana is another one of my favorite SaaS products. We use it here at Rocket SaaS, and they're all about productivity. So Asana, if you don't know what it is, it's something similar to ClickUp on Monday.com, basically a project management tool. So they're all about productivity and efficiency, helping businesses collaborate with each other, complete projects, project timelines, all of those things. And that topic as a whole is a big challenge to a lot of people. So they create a huge amount of blogs, YouTube tutorials on how you can make your business more productive, more efficient. And finally, I'll give you Rocket SaaS as an example. We've had some incredible growth over the last 3 years. And one of the main factors is because of the top of the funnel content. So you're consuming top of the funnel content right now. We've identified that our ideal customer profile are B2B SaaS businesses that are struggling to generate leads. So we create top of the funnel content that teaches people how to generate leads. This podcast you're listening to right now is me giving you a tip, giving you advice on how you can create top of funnel content to get more leads into your business. I'm not pitching Rocket SaaS. I'm not saying hire us as an agency. I'm just telling you advice on how you can do it yourself. We also create blogs. We have a weekly newsletter called SaaS Marketing Weekly, the same name as this podcast. I create videos. I create a lot of LinkedIn posts on my personal brand. We do webinars as well. And it's all about educating our audience. And then what happens is, sure, a ton of people just take our advice and run with it, and we never work with them. But a few people see us as the experts, and they think, these guys have taught us a lot. I know them. I like them. I trust them. I've now got the budget to work with an agency. I'm going to book a call. Whereas if we didn't create so much top of funnel content, we would just sound like any other company, any other agency. It would just become a race to the bottom about price. Because that's the other thing about creating great top of funnel content, when people know you, like you, trust you. People decide that they want to work with you. They don't shop around as much. I think most of the clients that Rocket SaaS wins, we're not actually competing with anyone, which sounds crazy. We used to compete all the time. We used to do a sales chat with the company and they'd say, oh, I'm speaking to 5 other agencies and you're one of them. And it'd be a real battle to win that job. It'd often come down to price. Whereas now people come to us and they say, we've been following you for a while now. We really like you. We want to work with you. We're not even speaking to anyone else. And that's just an amazing place to be. And we are only there because of the top of funnel content that we create. And it's the same for SaaS businesses, same for any business. So moving on, steps on how to create winning top of funnel content. I've got 5 steps here. So number 1 is to understand your audience. One of the best exercises I ever did was I was in a meeting room and there's a whiteboard, and I challenged me and my team to write down 100 different problems that our target audience face. So I identified who our target audience was, what industry do they work in, what company size, what their job titles. We create like a persona for them. So right, I want 100 different problems that this person suffers from. What keeps them up at night? That sounds kind of daunting, but we did get there after about 90 minutes or so. And then we started to circle in red some of the ones that we felt were really good ones in terms of really burning problems that we felt we could help them solve that was closely enough related to our services. And then we set out to create content for those ones. Also, surveying. Surveys are important to understand what your customers are really thinking and what they care about. A lot of companies make the mistake of only discussing it themselves. It's very hard for you to know what's on your customers' minds or your target audience's minds. A lot of people think they know, but there's no better way than actually asking them. So there's a website called Pollfish where you can do surveys of a target audience, and you can ask them things like, what problems do you have in the industry at the moment? What's keeping you up at night in your industry? What blog topics are you reading about at the moment? What would you like to learn more about in your industry? So you can start by asking your existing customers. You can survey them if you've got a customer success team, or you can use tools like Pollfish to interview or to survey people that are not yet your customers. You can also check out forums like Reddit or LinkedIn groups and just try and understand what your target audience actually care about from a problem-solving, wanting to learn point of view. And I'll challenge you to get a list of 10 problems that you feel that you can create content about that your audience really care about. And then step 2 is you want to choose the right content format that works for you. Blogs is a classic. Social media content is another one. You could create guides. Videos are fantastic. Webinars work really well. So choose what is right for you in terms of the skills that you've got in-house or what you feel would work for your industry. And step 3 is to plan content around industry trends. So I'm making this podcast at the end of 2024. 2024 has obviously been a massive year for AI. So you would have seen a ton of top of funnel content around AI. How is AI impacting this industry? How is AI solving this particular problem? How can you use AI to forward your business? So a lot of companies went big on that. I'd say it's probably a little bit overdone by now. AI is not going anywhere, but creating top of funnel content is a bit of a yawn now, I think, for AI. But what other industry trends are there? What's coming in 2025? Is there some new kind of legislation that's coming in, new compliance, new technologies? Can you create content that's relevant? So start to write down what you think are trends at the moment, and also add that into your surveys and your conversations you're having with your customers. Number 4 is to focus on storytelling. Business growth is a great storytelling example for the top of the funnel. So for example, if you had a client that achieved great results, rather than creating a kind of middle of the funnel case study that talks all about you and how you help them, you could create more top of the funnel content, like a top of the funnel webinar or a guide talking about how this company scaled and grew and what they did to achieve that growth. And working with you is more at the end of the article or the webinar. So it doesn't come across like a case study that's quite salesy. It's just talking about their growth, telling an amazing story of what they did. That can often work really well. So see if you can throw any stories into your top of the funnel content. So once you've figured out who your audience is, what format you want to use, what industry trends there are, how you can throw some storytelling into it, you then want to obviously create your content and then promote it cross-channel. So let's say you've written some blog articles. You need to distribute this as far and as wide as possible. So don't just stick it on your website and do one LinkedIn post and hope that you're going to get a lot of traffic. You need to work harder than that. You can send it out to all of your followers with an email newsletter. You can get everyone in the company to post it on their LinkedIn and obviously the company page itself. Obviously add it to your website, that goes without saying. And then ads. A lot of the people make the mistake of not putting ad budget into top of the funnel content because they won't get an immediate ROI. But that's wrong. Most B2B SaaS businesses, particularly the ones that are listening to this podcast, are not particularly large. They don't have a huge amount of website visitors or organic social media followers. And if you don't have those two things, how are you going to get people to consume your top of the funnel content if you don't pump some budget into it? So you need to put ad budget into it. LinkedIn and Meta ads being the obvious two. Potentially Google ads if you feel that people are searching for that particular problem. However, I would be mindful and careful about putting budget into the top of the funnel content if you don't have a thorough retargeting layer going on. If you check out episode 14 of the SaaS Marketing Weekly podcast, that will teach you how to use retargeting ads with LinkedIn in order to get leads. So there's no point driving top of the funnel traffic via ads if you haven't got a strategy to flow those people down the funnel. So just make sure you have that in place. So once you've got your content created and you're driving traffic to it, how do you measure success? As I've said a few times, we're not trying to get conversions, not trying to get demos, free trial, sales calls. So how do you measure if it's working? I mean, ultimately, we are obviously trying to get demos and trials. So after you've got this funnel flowing for a few months, you should start seeing a net positive result of more trials, more demos, more sales calls happening. But that's more of a holistic view of the funnel. You need to quickly be able to tell if your top of the funnel content is performing. And you do that by measuring metrics like website traffic, engagement, likes, shares, comments, and also conversions from top of the funnel to the middle of the funnel, like how many people consumed this top of the funnel content and then signed up to the newsletter, which I would class as middle of the funnel. And you can track all those metrics with typical tools like Google Analytics being a classic. Maybe your CRM, HubSpot will give you a lot of that information too. And also your ad platforms. But really, all of it should be in Google Analytics. So before we wrap up, I'm going to talk to you about common mistakes to avoid that I always see with top of the funnel content. There are three big ones that I always see. The first one being you set out to create top of the funnel content, but you just can't help yourself but promoting your product. I see that all the time. So you start by trying to create top of funnel content. You end up creating bottom of the funnel content because you just talk about how good your product is. So don't over promote your product. You can have a small call to action at the end, but nothing else. The second issue I see is people creating content without understanding their audience. They've not surveyed their audience. They've not spoken to their customers. They've just kind of taken a guess in-house and it's just missed the mark. I had a client that had warehouse software and they created a whole campaign around teaching the social media department on how to create really good social media posts. It was good content, but it was just not fitting the customer profile. It was nowhere near what their product sold. It was just way off. To really emphasize that you get a group of people internally to agree and bounce ideas, not just one person, one kind of marketing person coming up with an idea and going with it. Have all the experts in the company putting their heads together and also critically speaking to your audience and your target audience, investing in surveys. And you'll know what to create rather than just guessing. And the third issue I see is failing to repurpose content into multiple formats. I see people just creating a guide, sticking it on the website, doing a LinkedIn post, and then being disappointed that it didn't perform or not putting any ad budget into it. So those are the three things to avoid. So that's it. That is how you can create great top of the funnel content. So a quick recap. You really need to understand your audience's pain points and their goals. Do that by speaking to them, surveying them, a whiteboard session where you write down 100 different problems, and you must prioritize educational, engaging, shareable, or entertaining content. Do not promote your product at this stage. That comes later in the funnel. Also, take inspiration from leading SaaS brands. I gave you examples today of Asana, Slack, HubSpot, and my own brand, Rocket SaaS. If you got to the end of this podcast episode, you clearly liked it, or I hope. So that's an example of top of the funnel content. And then finally, always measure and refine your efforts and keep trying different things. If your first 3 blogs flop, don't give up. Eventually one will start to come good, and then you can expand on that to create more top of the funnel content. So that's it for this episode. Tune in next week where we'll be talking about the middle of the funnel. So I'll talk to you about how to get all of those top of the funnel people that we've attracted with today's topic. How do we get to move them to the middle of the funnel? And also, what is middle of the funnel content? I've got some really good ideas and really good examples of brilliant SaaS brands that created awesome middle of funnel content. Because this is where stuff starts to get exciting. Because this is when you start to get their names, their email addresses, and you can start to nurture them. So I look forward to sharing that with you next week. If you want to go from the top of the Rocket SaaS funnel, where you're at now, into the middle of the Rocket SaaS funnel, you should subscribe to our newsletter. If you go to saasmarketingweekly.com, you can subscribe to our newsletter. Every Thursday, I'll be giving you tips similar to this, but they're in written format, and they're often much quicker and snappier. So check that out. But otherwise, I'll see you next week for the middle of the funnel.